welcome to Magic Gathering Strat. My name is Ted, and this is Project Grixis version 3 intro. So, I got a lot of suggestions as to, well, not a whole lot, but I got a really good suggestion that what I should add to the deck is Serum Visions. And I agreed that Serum Visions would really help smooth out the flow of the deck, basically. Unfortunately, right now Serum Visions are a little, I don't want to say they're totally out of our budget, but they're a little expensive, and I kind of also wanted to work on the mana base a little bit more. I felt that might have been that was going to be a little bit more important than the Serum Visions. The deck plays okay. It might not win, but it does grind. So that's really, and I think that's really where Serum Visions is going to help. But first, I think we need to sort out the mana base a little bit more. So with that in mind, I decided to add 2 Bloodstained Mire, 2 more fetch lands, basically. They're much cheaper than Polluted Deltas. I would prefer the Polluted Deltas, but they're about 6 and change right now. Actually, they spiked, I believe, over $7 for a short period of time. But the Bloodstained Mires will allow us to fetch either our Blood Crypt or our Steam Vents. So I think that adding 2, basically kind of like as a substitute for Scalding Tarn right now, is a good deal. I also added a Desolate Lighthouse to help us with, I think it's going to be a little bit of a radical change in the deck. And that is, I decided to go with bigger creatures. And basically the way it breaks down is that the 2 Grixis Delver, which is the cheapest of the Grixis decks, and building towards that is a good way to start, because from there we can move on if we want to Grixis Control or Grixis Twin. There's 2 ways to go. One is to go small with a ton of young Pyromancers, and the other way is to go big with 4 Anglers and Tassigers. We can't afford Tassiger right now, but I decided to try that out. So I'm going to add 2 more Anglers to the deck and a Tombstalker. The Tombstalker is basically an Angler for 1 more black, but it flies. It's a little harder to cast. It's considerably harder to cast, but I feel that I needed a 5th big body, and I can't afford Tassiger, so for 3 cents, I think I'll take a chance and see how it works. And, it can easily be cut later on. Some other additions with that in mind is Thought Scour. So we're going to add 2 more Thought Scours, because we're going to need to build up that graveyard in order to be able to cast the Anglers. And that's also where Desolate Lighthouse comes in, since we'll be looting and basically tossing a card into the graveyard. The extra fetch lands also help with that. And also, by having the big bodies, we can try running Stubborn Denial. Now, Stubborn Denial counters, it's basically a Force of Will for a non-creature spell. But if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it just becomes just a regular, it becomes a negate, basically, for 1 mana. And we have, obviously, some big creatures. And we're going to have 5 over 4 toughness, 4 power creatures in the deck. And I also added 1 more Dragonskull, because it was only a penny, and burn does give us a little bit of an issue. I don't know how many burn decks we're going to run into, but those kind of help out a lot with burn. And I mean, you only need 1 really to stabilize, but you kind of want to draw it. And Nihil Spellbomb. And the reason I'm putting the Spellbomb is the same reason I kind of have Rakdos Charm. So many Delver decks, so many decks that are using the graveyard. You know, the zombie type decks that keep recurring their creatures, Lingering Souls, all that stuff. We want to try and get rid of an opposing player's graveyard, if at all possible. So the Spellbomb allows us to do that for only one mana, and cast it for 1 mana, and you can sack it at any time. So I like it a little better than Relic of Progenitus, because it only affects their graveyard. And if we have an open black mana, we can also draw a card. So it cantrips if we have open black mana. So with that in mind, I wanted to show a table. So let me bring that up. And this table, I know it's a little small for you guys to see. I hope to make a better one that's a little bit bigger, but it's hard to fit everything into this window and make everything readable. You know, without having to scroll. And this basically shows so far what we've done with the deck. Version 1 was the original 75. Nothing really special here. It's just a list of cards. The basic lands are highlighted in gray, or not highlighted in gray. And these yellow numbers here, they're just a way for us to keep track of, for me to keep track of cards going in and out. So we started with 75. Then in version 2, these are the cards that we added in, and these are the cards that we added out, we pulled out. So 16 in, 16 out. This doesn't show here. I needed to expand that, but it's, I believe, 13 and 13 here. And for version 3, these are the cards that we have. We're putting in. These are the cards we're taking out, including these 3 basic lands. So we're going from 22 to 20 basic lands. So it might be a little too low, but we'll see how it goes. And then these cards here, and this is why this says out and reserve. These cards here are basically the leftovers. So theoretically, at some point, we might be able to sell or bought some of these cards out in order to add to our money supply to purchase other cards for the deck. And then here on these 2 smaller boxes here, I have what the deck cost. So version 1 was $30.28. Then we added $15.32 to it, so it's $48.560, and so on. And then this is the value today. So as you can see, some of the cards that really increased in price already. The deck that we purchased originally for $30.20 is now $40.69 for that same exact set of cards. So this number down here should match here, which it does. And in this box here, we have basically this is kind of like our bookkeeping. Week 1 is what we spent. We didn't add any money in. We didn't sell any cards. This is what the income column is for. And obviously then there's no starting surplus or deficit. Week 2, we overspent our budget a little bit by 32 cents. And really that was more because by the time I recorded the video, the price of the cards had just edged over $15. So we have a little deficit of 32 cents that we have to make up. And this week, as you saw, if you looked at the previous window, we're only spending $9.16. So that gives us a surplus of $5 for this week, $5.84 for a total of combined for a surplus of $5.52 to that we can use for the following week, along with our normal $15 contribution. I believe that between those two, we should be able to get a complete set of Serum Visions if we shop around. So then now the last window is a visual here of the cards that we're putting in, which are these here. The 2 Bloodstained Mires, a Desolate Lighthouse, 2 Stubborn Owls, 2 Thought Scours, a Lightning Strike. This wasn't in the list of expenses because it's part of your basic MTGO starting group of cards. the 2 Anglers and the Tombstalker, Dragonskull, and Spellbomb. And then over here in the sideboard, I have the cards that we pulled out. So basically we pulled out 5 lands. We added 3, pulled out 5. That takes us from 22 to 20. We pulled out the two cons gain lands and 3 basics. I also pulled out a negate. It's kind of redundant with Stubborn Denial. A mana leak. I just kind of felt that we're just not casting it enough. You know, it's great in that first few turns, but eventually, particularly with all the typical decks that we're playing, it just becomes kind of useless. I took out 1 Dispel. Took out 2 Young Pyromancers, so we do still have 2 in the deck. They're not completely gone. 2 Rats and a Countersquall. So if I go here to version 3, this is our deck as it looks today. I'll see if I can. I want to put a deck list in the description. I'll see if I don't upload the videos myself. You know, the program director for the channel does that. So I'll try to provide him with a deck list for everyone so that he can include it in the description. And this is our sideboard. Sideboard is still a little weak, but we do have the there's a Dragonskull that we added in, and I moved all the Deprives out of the main board into the sideboard and put the Dispel in there. Basically, the sideboard is not very much changed other than the addition of the Dragonskull and the shuffling of a couple spells back and forth. And I guess that's about it for the deck tech and intro. I mean, it plays pretty much similar to our previous version, but I did move, actually, so I moved the Terminate back into the main board from the sideboard. Plays pretty similar to our deck originally. Key is to protect Angler from things like Remand and Vapor Snag, which really hurts us since we're basically counting on Delve to cast these big guys. I also moved the Duress into the main board. There used to be 1 and 1, now there's 2 in the main. Basically, it just gives us another spell to cast on turn 1 if depending on how our mana ends up being. So we can cast an early Duress to maybe sometimes help us out or protect a Delver, a turn 2 Delver instead of a turn 1 Delver or something of that nature. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and please hit the like button, and please leave comments. I try to answer every single one of them. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you with some gameplay real soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, it really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter at MagicGathStrat, Facebook /MagicGatheringStrat, or on the web, magicgatheringstrat.com. There you can find articles and free prize-supported leagues. This is all brought to you by our Patreons and cardhoarder.com. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/MagicGatheringStrat.